And Kathleen Wynn on WinnTucson. We get back Kelly Walker, a parent who stood up to his kids' school because they just were not doing the right thing. And he's now got national attention. We'll be talking to Kelly Walker on the other side of this short break.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I hope you can see me. I am about to go live on Tucson Radio with WinnTucson. Kathleen Wynn does just a fantastic show. Let me make sure I have everything adjusted here.
We're with Bridget.
Okay.
His husband won't be home for months.
Stick with us.
His daughter is due any day.
I'll be on shortly after these commercials here. This will give some people time to join. I've got some very exciting news to share regarding Ed Martin and his appointment by President Trump as the head of the Weaponization Working Group. And I'm in touch with Ed directly. You're going to hear about that when I go live here in a moment. So I'll just turn this up a little bit. If you're watching on Instagram or X, send me a little comment, a little wave. I'll wave back at you. If I'm able to, I will also answer your questions. Okay, 30 seconds.
It takes 30 minutes and a cup of coffee, a video game, sharing thumbs up emoji, clapping emoji, and loaded nachos at halftime. That is how you make an impact on a young kid's life. So go on, share a few hours a month, because mentorship may sound huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big. To learn more, volunteer or donate, go to soazbigs.org. That's soazbigs.org.
Welcome back to WinnTucson on this Friday before Mother's Day. It should be a national holiday. Moms are the best. I just have to say that. Kelly, welcome to WinnTucson.
Hi, Kathleen, and an early happy Mother's Day to you as well. You have...
Kelly?
Oh, yes, I am. Sorry about that. I had myself on mute. Happy Mother's Day to you, Kathleen.
Thank you. We have that happen occasionally, so I understand. So you have been working for a very long time on this issue. So just quickly tell people what's going on and the update that we have, and it's good news.
It is good news. I actually have some very exciting news. I've been working very, very hard, as you know, for a number of years, and I've been communicating with a whole lot of people who are invested in getting some justice and restitution for people who were targeted by the Biden administration, by Merrick Garland. I focus a lot on the school parents who were targeted as so-called domestic terrorists. So I have to thank some people right up front. Representative Eli Crane, I have mutual respect with Eli. He's fantastic. He's doing a great job on the Hill. He's been communicating with Trump's team, urging Donald Trump to issue an executive order on behalf of the parents who were unjustly, without any substantiation or backup, targeted by Merrick Garland under the Patriot Act as so-called domestic terrorists. You know, this was egregious, and it was so terribly wrong. And I hope also that they will put Merrick Garland back on the hot seat. Frankly, my opinion is he belongs in prison, as do some other people who participated in that. Representative Andy Ogles of Tennessee, his team's been spearheading a letter to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, directing Kash Patel to investigate, to have the FBI investigate on behalf of these parents. So one of the most exciting things to me, Kathleen, you know, I was very disappointed that Tom Tellis scuttled Ed Martin's appointment by Trump as the DC attorney.
Yes.
However, there's a real silver lining here, because you might have seen that Donald Trump appointed him to several roles, one of which is the head of the Weaponization Working Group. And I've actually been talking. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I saw that. I know I heard him yesterday on a national talk show, and he couldn't yet say what it was, but I saw that overnight. So yeah, that's great news.
It really is. And, you know, having Judge Janine in that spot now, slated to be in that spot, she's certainly someone who doesn't back down. But you know, Ed Martin, I've been communicating with him through Alex Newman, you know, internationally recognized journalist. He does a lot for Epic Times and others. He's good friends with Ed Martin. So I just texted Alex last night. He's in touch with Ed Martin. And then I got a call just actually probably about 5-10 minutes ago from Sam Sorbo, of Hercules' wife, Kevin Sorbo's wife. She's been a real advocate, as you know. Pardon?
Okay. Wasn't Kevin Tarzan at one point?
No, he was Hercules, actually.
Or Hercules. Oh.
He would have made a heck of a Tarzan, though. But yeah. So Sam called.
Sorry,
yeah.
I digress.
So Sam called me. She had first texted and said, "Hey, send me like a 1-page summary on restitution and retribution for parents, and kind of what we need to do to restore parents to where they were before they got attacked by their own government." And then she called me shortly before my interview with you, and she said, "Hey, I just sent your tweet on X directly to Ed Martin because she knows him." And so he'll be looking at that now. If you want to see that tweet, go to X and go to @RealFreedomTalk. It's also the same handle on Instagram. But this has been a lot of hard work, Kathleen. And I'll be honest with you. Earlier this week, I was really, really tempted just to go back to private life. I had you have ups and downs, you have reverses, but this is a big gain. And gosh, I'm really glad Ed Martin's here. And Sam said, I think Ed's going to be very, very powerful to help on this issue, Kelly.
Well, what I heard yesterday when Ed Martin was speaking was that he didn't care what role he had or what title he had. He had talked to Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis was kind of the person that blocked his appointment where Donald Trump had. But two things I heard yesterday. He had a commitment to serve. Ed Martin has a commitment to serve, and he wants to just be a part of what's happening to restore order, not only in our school, but in our country. And the other thing is, he just is like, put me where you want me, President Trump, and I'll go do that job. And
that's so fantastic.
And I loved that servant heart. That's what I heard yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was, of course he was disappointed, but he understood that wherever he gets put, he'll do the job. He'll do it legally. Yeah. He'll do it professionally. And ultimately, things work out for a reason. And if you don't make it be about you and your ego and the title that you have, and you really just get in there to do the work, and that's what I want to say to you. You've done the work. I know it's been, you had to move your family. It's been daunting. You've been through so much. So I don't want to step over that.
Well, thank you.
Fighting for parents, you're welcome. Fighting for parents and fighting for parents' rights, and that we as parents should get to be the ultimate decision makers when it comes to our children and what's happening to them in schools.
Absolutely.
I went to too many parent-teacher conferences over the years, and when unfortunately, sometimes the kids got in conflicts or whatever. You always take your kid's side. But parents love their children and they advocate for them. And for the government to get involved and get in between that relationship and somehow empower administrators at schools to be more important in those children's lives, that is not okay.
Yeah,
and I think you're seeing Donald Trump restore that order. And I think this. I was up at on the Hill when he signed No Boys and Girls Sports.
Fantastic.
That was a good day.
Yeah.
And we just have to be commonsensical about what the point of education is and how well we love and care for our children. Yeah. So where do we go from here? What should we expect out of what's happening with your situation?
Sure. But first, I just want to say thank you as well to Representative Andy Biggs, Paul Gosar, Jim Jordan, and Abe Hamidi. I really would like to see Andy become governor. He'd be in a position to give me a pardon if Trump can't finagle that, although I think Trump is very creative. Of course, Trump can pardon federal offenses. Mine's a state one. I've been talking with Arizona Daily Star to get them to take down these egregious hit pieces. Their legal team got back to me and said, well, we reviewed these articles. We didn't see anything defamatory. I'm like, are you kidding? The whole thing's based on a false premise from Merrick Garland. So, there are still battles there, my battles, but also I'm fighting for other parents, some who've lost hope that they're ever going to get justice. And, Kathleen, it seems like Congress works at a glacial pace. I know people are, on social media all the time saying,
glacial's being kind, Kelly.
yeah, yeah. But so these congressmen I've mentioned have been fighting hard behind the scenes, and I have to give them a lot of credit. Abe, sometimes I've been fighting so hard for 5 years just for survival. I think Abe recognized that I'm pretty intense, and I love Abe to bits, and I thank him for the work he's done. Um, I'm actually going up to Washington D.C. soon to be on a 10-minute panel on NTD News / Epic Times Capitol Report. I'm hoping one or two of the congressmen can be there. I've invited Sam Sorbo to come up, and it's going to be a 10-minute panel on this whole weaponization issue. So really getting the word out is very important. But I'm encouraged because I do believe President. I saw in his language appointing Ed Martin to this new post. I saw the language that's gone between me and Eli Crane and Andy Ogles and others. So it indicates to me that what they've been doing is effective. And I check in with Eli and say, any progress yet? No, I haven't heard anything back. And I've been in touch with Kash Patel as well. I'm still waiting, as a lot of other people are, for justice, but I'm willing to kind of give the benefit of the doubt and say, look, these things do take time, unfortunately. And
well, they've been in office just 100 days early, because they didn't get there on the first day. They weren't in their roles. So you see that, and people are being very critical of them. Especially it's kind of like I would say that the left has woken up and all of a sudden they realize that they don't have the power, they don't have the attention that they used to get, and so they are lashing out at the people. And if we had ever lashed out in the way that they are, we would have been called out for it. Yeah. And yet there's no decency, there's no respect, there's no respect for the job. Yeah. And so I think it goes back to, I believe parents should be the ultimate decision makers for their kids. And
I agree.
And so many parents are taking their kids out of the school system and homeschooling because of it. I think we've got an all-time high of homeschooling going on in this country. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty confident that that's the case. Yeah,
it is. We homeschool our kids now, and it is an anti-parent. It's a very Marxist-based anti-parent agenda to have our kids be property of the government in essence. But there was, I want to say it's a 1925 Supreme Court case where the justices said in the ruling, children are not mere creatures of the state. There's absolutely no justification in our country and in our system for this just outrageous move by the school system to basically take our kids and treat us like caretakers, not completely having all the rights over our children's lives until they're 18. And it's been, particularly Kathleen, I have to say, it's really tough against fathers because we're easily portrayed. I'm 6'4", I'm 240 pounds. I'm a big guy, and it's easy to portray us as aggressive and bullies and all the rest. Men handle things differently. We are direct, but I was framed as being this big bully. Arizona Daily Star called me some things, and it's like I'm not doing this because I'm big and I want to intimidate people. I'm doing this because I have a very soft, tender heart. When people were coming to Viva Coffee House sharing their stories, when a young man committed suicide in our neighborhood, all these people come to you, and I'm a big tough guy, but it broke my heart, and I just said I got to do whatever it takes to help these people. I knew it would be a sacrifice. Kathleen, I didn't realize how hard it would be. I didn't realize that it would take us back to a ground level where, all we have is my wife and I have each other and our kids. And, we go into political exile because we moved when they went after our kids. And I've talked to so many people in various fights where the government weaponized against them for various reasons. And they will go after your children. I mean, they will do false CPS claims. It's horrible.
They're going after your children, though, to get to you. Right?
Yes.
The children are vulnerable, and they know that vulnerability, which, think about that. And that's, I think there's nothing more evil
No.
than that. And of course, it goes to the fundamental thing. When you express something that you want to protect your children, you also expose that vulnerability. And so people that are trying to exploit you and hurt you will use that to their advantage to get you to stop speaking out. And you said that men are direct. I think women are direct too. They may fight in a different way, but you've had moms and dads standing up and speaking out and saying, "Not on my watch. This isn't okay." And there was a weaponization, and there was this whole control thing. And I think your situation happened over COVID, right? Is that what was the catalyst?
Well, yeah, as you know, it started in 2020 when I was arrested for, legally and during the public comment session, confronting the Pima County Board of Supervisors about targeting our business. But then a year later, it became about the school issues, the forced masking, all the rest. And, Pima County and the city of Tucson wanted very desperately, after I stood up to them, they were enraged that I would actually speak out. They wanted desperately to set me up, and that's exactly what they did. But I've in a sense, it's not a game, but in a sense, I've been playing the long game, and I know that in the end we're going to win because the truth always wins out. You can go to realfreedomtalk.com. You can go to the weaponization page. Hey, you can watch all the videos you want. You can watch the whole video of the school incident that I was arrested for, and you'll watch it and say they didn't do anything. I mean, Judge Antonio Riojas said that he watched the video and he said didn't do anything. But we've got this crooked judge, Geraldine Hale, who the Tucson Magistrate Commission unanimously recommended against because she doesn't have a basic understanding of the law, and she's temperamental and abusive toward defendants. That's who I got for my trial. But we're finding out, look, we all respect the rule of law, but we've got some really, really bad judges, corrupt judges, and they're trying to run the country, and they need to be reined in.
All over the country. Unfortunately, that's not unique to Pima County or to Tucson.
It's not. But the thing is, once they pronounce a verdict on you, and even before, like Arizona Daily Star and Tucson Weekly put these hit pieces out on me before I ever went to trial. The Vail School District went out to the media and then later blamed us fathers for disrupting their jobs because of all the media attention. Well, why did you go out to the media and spin a Jesse Smollett level lie and then blame us because suddenly, I was called by CNN and MSNBC, all the rest, terribly disruptive for our lives. I was guilty before proven innocent. And my lawyer in court said, you didn't do anything wrong. Everybody knew it. It was a dog and pony show, but it's going to come back because the tables have turned. And we have people like Ed Martin now who are going to look at this and come out with the truth. I was very, very happy to see Trump make a statement regarding Tina Peters. And I want to mention too, I'm doing some work.
Tina Peters.
Yeah.
So quickly tell me what's going on there, because I didn't get a chance to read the whole article.
Well, I worked for Mike Lindell. I'm doing a 3-week gig for him now because he's going to go up against Smartmatic and Dominion, and he's the only defendant that was sued by them who didn't settle out of court. He's going to go head to head with them, and kudos to him for that. But Tina Peters, he's been really involved in that, and I wrote a lot of things about Tina Peters for Mike. So she's been in prison for
Colorado, right?
Yeah, Colorado. So Tina Peters, law clerk in Colorado, who blew the whistle on the state and the electronic voting companies trying to erase the records of the election. And they threw her in prison for that. Absolute lawfare. 69-year-old Gold Star mom, sweet gal. I got to speak at an event with her and meet her. She's wonderful. And not only did they throw her in prison, but they've been essentially psychologically torturing her. Like they will dig in and they'll put her in dangerous situations. A lot of people have been fighting for her. Trump finally came out with a statement directing the Department of Justice to work on getting her free. And, she is, he said she's a political prisoner. So anyway, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you to all you in Tucson. Keep up the fight. Don't get discouraged. We're going to win.
Okay, I love it. And happy Mother's Day to your beautiful wife and your beautiful family.
I'll pass it on. I'm blessed.
And thank you for continuing the fight, and congratulations on the milestones. And we'll look forward to hearing the update. And tell Mike Lindell hello and to keep on fighting.
I sure will. You do a great show, Kathleen. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You're listening to 1030 The Voice, your trusted local news and talk. I'm